Welcome to Math 70. This video is for section 1.2. We're going to be solving multi-step equations. We actually have already done that in section 1. It was just a fairly simple multi-step equation, 2x plus 1 equals 11. And the general rules for this is collect all x's on one side, on one side of the equal sign, then move all numbers to the other, and then isolate the x. So in this case, we already have all the x's on one side. So our first step is going to move the numbers to the other. We want to move that plus 1 to the other side, so we subtract it from both sides. We get 2x equals 10. And now we're going to isolate x by dividing both sides by 2, and we get x equals 5. So that's a fairly straightforward multi-step equation, but it did take 2 steps, the subtraction and then the division. Now let's do one that is more complicated. Let's do, let's see, 5x plus 3 times x plus 1 equals 27. So the first thing we want to do is collect all the x's on one side. They are all on the same side, but they're not collected together. I have a 5x here and more x's over here. So I need to collect them. And the parentheses tells me I have 3 times x plus 1, which is the same times 3 times x plus 3 times 1, because I have to distribute that multiplication. And now I can collect the 5x and the 3x, and I'm going to get an 8x plus 3, that's the 3 times 1 is the plus 3, equals 27. So now I have collected all the x's on one side. There's a single term with all the x's. The next thing is to make sure that all of the numbers are on the other side. At this point, it's a little more straightforward. Subtract 3 from both sides, and we get 8x equals 24, and divide both sides by 8, and we get x equals 3, and we've solved it. I'm just going to do another example. I'm going to do 32x plus 8 equals 8 times minus equals negative 8 times minus 4x minus 1 minus 60. And now we see a lot of complexity. There's a lot going on. First of all, my x's are on both sides of the equation, and some of those x's are trapped inside parentheses. And I have numbers on both sides of the equations, and there's a lot of extra numbers floating around. But I'm still going to take it step by step. The first step is to collect all the x's. So to do that, I'm going to add 8 times minus 4x minus 1 to both sides. And that's going to cancel out this whole term here. And so I get 32x plus 8 times minus 4x minus 1 plus 8 equals negative 60. Do you remember right back at the beginning of, in the first video, I said, as you learn to do more complicated math, you're going to be building on what you've already done. Well, this piece right here now has all of the x's on one side, but there's a parentheses. And that looks a lot like this one here. So this new level of difficulty with this more complicated equation is pretty close to what we've already done with a little bit extra. And that's how I want you to be approaching your mathematics learning. Yes, it's probably going to be new, but it probably builds on something that you've already been learning. So I have all the x's on this side, but I need to collect them all. And right now I can't collect them because they're split apart. So I need to multiply out the 8 times the minus 4x and the 8 times the minus 1. Still have that 8, still have this 32x, and I have that negative 60 on the other side. I'm going step by step and simplifying as I go. 8 times minus 4 is minus 32x. 8 times negative 1 is minus 8 plus 8 equals minus 60. Now I have all the x's on one side, and I can collect them. 32x minus 32x is 0. Minus 8 plus 8 is 0. And what I end up with is 0 equals negative 60. So this is a contradiction, which again is something that you've learned in the previous section. So the equation that we started with is actually one that is false no matter what x value that you pick. But I can promise you when I wrote this equation down, I could not see that. I could not see that it was a contradiction. It was only once I worked through the algebra that I got it to a place where I could see that it's false for any value of x. All right, so those are a couple examples of how to do multi-step equations. Now let's do a couple of word questions that involve multi-step linear equations. All right, first let's start with a question that it is a word question, but it's not like a physical situation. Two consecutive even numbers add up to 26. What are those numbers? So to turn this word question into symbols, let's let x be the first number. And if we're talking about even numbers, then whatever x is, the next even number after it has to be 2 bigger. So the second even number should be x plus 2. And what we're saying is the first number x plus the second number x plus 2 should equal 26. And now we can solve this by collecting the x's, and we have 2x plus 2 equals 26. There's the 2. We now have collected all the x's, so let's get all the numbers on the other side, and we get 2x equals 24. And now we'll isolate the x by dividing both sides by 2, and we get that x equals 12. Which means that x plus 2, the second number, should be 14. And sure enough, 12 plus 14 equals 26. All right, so that was a word question, but it didn't really deal with the physical situation. So I'll do an example of a physical situation word question now. Okay. All right, so the question is, this year, the company produced 10% more than last year. 10% more items. If last year, if this year, the company produced, well, let's say 330 items, how many did it produce last year? All right, so here's our word question. We're trying to figure out how many items the company produced last year. So that should be the clue that we want to have our unknown variable x be the number of items produced last year. And we know that x is 10%, that 10% more than x is 330. So x plus 10% of x equals 330, because it produced 10% more than last year. So our equation, we can change this 10% to a decimal, and we have x plus 0.1x equals 330. And now we're actually in a situation that is pretty similar to the previous question. When we add these two together, right, first we collect all our x's on one side of the equation. So I'll add those two numbers together and we get 1.1x, because 1 plus 0.1 is 1.1, equals 330. And then we solve both sides, we divide both sides by 1.1, and we get x equals, let me go to my calculator. And when I do that, I get x equals 300 items. All right, I'll do one more example question. So we've got a beaker, a chemistry beaker with 150 milliliters of alcohol solution. Of an alcohol and water solution, which means it's a liquid where the alcohol and the water are mixed. There is 4 times as much water as alcohol in the solution. How much alcohol and how much water is in the solution? Okay, so first I'm actually going to solve this using a visual representation. I'm going to make myself a beaker. Now in solution, the water and the alcohol mix perfectly, but in terms of volume, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to say I have, let's see, I don't know, this much alcohol. And if I have 4 times as much water, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 times as much water right there. This picture shows me that there's 4 times as much water as there is alcohol. And I know total, there's 150 milliliters, which means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of alcohol. So 5 times the alcohol amount equals 150. There's my alcohol plus another 4 amounts, and that gets to 150. That means there are 30 milliliters of alcohol, because this one's 30, this one's 30, this one's 30, this one's 30, and this one's 30, and it all adds up to 150 milliliters and 120 milliliters of water. So this might be an example of a way to change a verbal representation into a visual one, instead of going directly to the symbols. But let's solve this symbolically as well. So we've got two pieces of information. We're going to let X equal the amount of alcohol. And we know that there's 4 times as much water as alcohol. So 4X is going to be the amount of water. And we know that there's 150 milliliters total. So if we take the amount of alcohol plus the amount of water, we're going to get 150 milliliters. And then for our first step, we're going to combine the X plus the 4X to get 5X. And then we're going to divide both sides by 5. And we get X equals 30 milliliters. That is exactly what we got from the picture. All right, there are some other varieties of word questions on here as well, but the key is once you have the question written in words, you might decide I'm going to go straight to a symbolic representation and do some algebra, or maybe I'm going to draw a picture first and use that to help me figure out what my algebra should look like. So I will see you for our next video, and have a good day.